What's up, everybody? Welcome in to the Seth Floyd Show, where you hang out with me in my garage while I sweat for an hour, or however long we do this. Is never an hour. And I talk a little 49er football as much as I can. Good golly, though, it is hot in Texas, and I am tired of it, man. Tired of it. I needed to cool down. But welcome in. Great day to be a 49er fan. Why? Training camp. Training camp started today. People reporting. It's a good time to be an NFL fan. Even if you don't have any hope for your team, hopefully that's not you 49er fans, you should have hope. But let's say you're, who am I going to throw shade at right now? Let's say you're a Browns fan or you're a Saints fan. Terrible quarterback situation, especially for the Saints. Last minute Derek Carr retiring, and you are just like, what are we excited about? But it's football. That's why you're excited. You're excited because it's football season. Real quick, if you're here, if you're new, please hit subscribe. We're up to 395 subscribers. I'm trying to get another 105 by the time we start football season week 1. So we're like, oh man, football's only like 6 weeks away, week 1. Let's do it, fellas. And women, if you're here, we'd love it. Please hit subscribe, send it to your friends, send it to your enemies. So we got a little news today, okay? Guys reported to camp officially, okay? And we got some news on a few different things I want to talk about. First, we all know the terrible news of Ricky Pearsall being on the PUP. And there was some speculation that, like, look, because he was a vet that was hurt during the spring, since he reported to camp early, they have to put him on the PUP, so maybe he was going to come off right away on Wednesday. And that's not the case. It sounds like he is going to be on the PUP. Not for very long, that's what John Lynch said, but it's not right away. So clearly something must have happened since the spring. Guys, I am dying. It is so hot in here. I misjudged just how hot it was out here. And my hat is like making me sweat even more. Let's see, sorry. Is that better? No, it's about the same. Anyway, so you've got Ricky Pearsall, man, hopefully he's not out more than a week. Okay, Jauan Jennings reported to camp. He didn't hold out. That's good. I wonder if he'll practice tomorrow. I guess you're watching this. It's today. I wonder if he'll practice today. They signed Equanimeous St. Brown. I don't know. The worst St. Brown brother. That's a little harsh. His brother's really good. He is in the NFL and good for him. But we signed St. Brown, who used to play for the Bears and for the Saints. He barely played last year. Just kind of a camp body. Nothing too much to read into, but it got me thinking about this 49ers receiver situation, and I think I feel better about it than I did like a week or two ago. Oh, and the last bit of news was Brandon Ayuk. Lynch said there's no real concrete timetable for him to be back, so it definitely sounds like week 1 is out of the question, so we'll see. I feel better because I remember, think back, everyone, 49er fans, go on a journey with me. Do you guys remember the 2019 season? Of course you do. Of course you do. That was one of the best seasons the Niners had in a long time, okay? Best season they'd had since Harbaugh's 2011 year, I guess. 13-3 came out of nowhere. Do you guys remember who the receiving group was, that wide receiver room was in 2019? It really got me thinking, and I was like, oh my gosh. There were no like bona fide studs in that room. Now, before you jump down my throat, okay, I understand Emmanuel Sanders was on the team we traded for him, but that was like week 8. We were like undefeated, or we'd had one loss to the Seahawks when that happened. Okay, before Emmanuel Sanders showed up, the Niners had, I don't know the exact numbers, but they were top 5 offense in the league, top 5 efficiency in the league. Okay. And their wide receiver room was their number 1 essentially at that time going into the year was Marquise Goodwin. Okay, you had Richie James, who saw a lot of time. You had Kendrick Bourne, who, guys, we love Kendrick Bourne, but I would take Jauan Jennings over Kendrick Bourne. You had a rookie Deebo Samuel, who, like, he had some nice plays, but he wasn't this number 1 wide receiver. Okay, and then we traded for Emmanuel Sanders. You also had George Kittle, who had come on, but you still have George Kittle. I guess this is my point. That offense that year was so good. Was so good. It wasn't as good as the 23 offense. But think of that offense that took you to the Super Bowl. Your running backs were a committee of Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert, Jerick McKinnon. I don't think he didn't really play that year. He was hurt, but Jeff Wilson played that year. Okay, we already went over the receivers. Your quarterback was Jimmy Garoppolo. Like 49er fans, you know what I'm saying. Okay, Brock is a major step up from Jimmy. He just is. Anyone who watches the games knows there's a difference. I think Jimmy had his best years with Kyle Shanahan, and of course, Shanahan's system helps, but there's a reason that they were trying to move on from Jimmy, and it's because Brock does things Jimmy doesn't, okay? That's all I'm saying. So this offense going into the year, I'm just, look, Ricky's going to get back within a week, it sounds like, and can he stay on the field? That's the biggest, what if? Can he stay on the field? Because if he can, then you feel pretty dang good about it because the Shanahan system is based off the run game, guys. It is based off the run game. Now, why did the run game struggle so much last year? I know that raw stats say it didn't, but it did. They were not as efficient. There's a reason it took a step down. I don't know the answers to why. I don't have that answer. I have thoughts. One, Christian McCaffrey being out, but other running backs play well in this system. So why were we not as efficient? Why were we not as efficient in the red zone? I think it had some to do with Shanahan's not staying a step ahead of defensive coordinators this past year. It had something to do with they were able to clog the box more because we didn't have as much of a receiving threat. There's a number of reasons, okay? I don't know the number one reason, but what I do have confidence in is that Kyle Shanahan's going to get this run game going like it was before, like it was in 23. I have faith that Christian McCaffrey is going to be healthy for the majority of the season. Now, is that 10, 11 games? I'll take that, given what we got last year. I don't stress about this wide receiver group because when you compare it to 2019, it's still Juwan Jennings, I'd take over Kendrick Bourne. Ricky Pearsall, I would take over Richie James for sure. Those are kind of your 1-2. Debo was the rookie that year. And you're going to get Ayuk back, hopefully, before Halloween. I mean, my hope still is week 5 against the Rams after he's on PUP. And then all of a sudden you're rocking and rolling. But even with Juwan Jennings, with Ricky Pearsall, okay, Cowing hopefully gets a look. I know Demarcus Robinson's going to be out for the first, feels like 2 or 3 games. But he comes back and you really have the pieces. Shanahan has the pieces that he needs to operate and make this thing run. He has what he needs. The number one, because he understands the number one thing for his system is get the run game going. And I bet you he was in the lab all offseason scheming up the run game, figuring out where he fell short last year in his play calls, in his overall schemes, schematically in the run game. And he's been in the lab and he came out of the lab. And if you saw his press conference today, he looked rejuvenated. He looked refreshed. I took that to mean this dude has a plan. He figured some things out in this offseason and he can't wait to put the league on notice. That's what I think. Now, what does that mean? They're going to win the Super Bowl? No, not necessarily. I'm just saying, I think this offense is going to look a lot better than last year's offense. That's what I think. If Christian stays healthy, it definitely will. If he doesn't, you're going to see a lot of Garendo. Hopefully you see a lot of Jordan James. I think we've got the tools to make it happen because I've seen him do it with other running backs. Last year to me was an anomaly. It wasn't what it has been in the past. I think he's going to get it rocking and rolling this year. Now, hopefully Pearsall doesn't get hurt again. Hopefully Ayuk is only out 4 games. Hopefully Jennings gets signed. Hopefully Demarcus Robinson only has a 2-game suspension of a 3-game suspension. But I think you've got the pieces that you need. Other news and notes from training camp. Ben Bartch was also on that PUP list. Lynch also said that he thinks Bartch will be off the list pretty quick. I think you need Ben Bartch. I'm like a Ben Bartch believer given his limited sample last year, but he looked good. I think Ben Bartch healthy. You could see him taking a step up from Aaron Banks, who signed for $20 million a year or whatever with Green Bay. I think the Ben Bartch thing is real, but man, what a bummer that he got hurt away from the facility. That sucks. That part sucks. Hopefully it's not major. Fred said in his, I don't know, he said somewhere, I don't know if they were interviewing him at the locker, if he came to the podium, but he said had high praise about D Winters and basically said, D, it looks like a guy who's ready to take the next step. I think in everyone's mind, that to me clues me in they are going to give it to him. It's his job to lose. Not going to just hand it to him, but it's his job to lose. Hopefully Nick Martin steps up and delivers some competition and puts the pressure on D. That's what you need, competition in everything. But man, I'm excited. I think things feel good. We'll get more. They'll get on the field tomorrow. You'll start getting these updates. You start getting these updates about how things go and Who's running with the ones? That's what my biggest thing tomorrow, and I'll let you go, I guess today. The biggest thing today, we'll say, is I want to know that first defense, who steps out there. I want to report on who the first defensive line is and who's back there at safety. Okay, because I don't know if Jair Brown is going to be ready. I don't know what the status was on him today. Is Jason Pinnock going to get some run at the starting safety with Mustafa out? Also that defensive line. So we need to see Mykel Williams running with the ones. I hope that's just penciled in. You probably won't see Alfred Collins running with the ones this week because he just got here. He wasn't in the spring, and then he just signed his contract. But we need to see Alfred Collins and CJ West running with the twos. And hopefully by the end of camp, you see Alfred Collins running with the ones. I'll be disappointed if he's not. Man, I think that's all I got. Another key notes is Upton Stout. There's a real chance he could be the one nickelback. We'll see how they want to play it. So does he get some run tomorrow? And then a sneaky one is Marquise Siegel, the safety we drafted out of Kansas State, runs like a 4.3. Is he going to get runs with the twos? I don't think he'll be with the ones, but could he get runs with the twos? Because if he's running with the twos from the beginning of camp, maybe they really believe he can take over that role in week 1 earlier in the season. So anyway, that's what I got. We're here, people. We're here. We're here. It's a good day. It's a good day. Let's absorb all the camp. Let's just breathe it in. It's been a long time. Okay, I know this isn't officially football, what we want, but like we're starting to get hooked up to the IV. We're starting to get hooked up to the NFL, to the football IV. Okay, it's going in. Okay, we don't have all the good stuff yet. They're just kind of giving you the they're giving you the water to hydrate you. The saline, do they give you saline before? I don't know, but they're just kind of hydrating us, getting us ready for the season because it's going to be here and we're going to be rocking and rolling and the Niners are going to win games, and I'm a full-on believer that 2025 is going to be a million times better than 2024. So let's go on this ride together. Subscribe if you're still here. Send it to your friends, send it to your enemies. You guys are awesome. I'm out. Go Niners.